Okay, so it is Monday the 13th. We are here at Old Oak Cigar, I think, in Thousand Oaks. Old Oak Cigar and Liquor Company. Yeah, and we're gonna switch. We're gonna switch because my cigar smoke, is bothering Brittany, which makes sense. Give me my phone. So we're switching. We're doing musical benches.
Get your coffee. I can put it right here.
Okay. We've just both gotten fired in Hollywood for starting a video and instantly screwing it up. But we don't care because Brian Longbotham is not here to hunt us down for such crimes. Okay, so pardon my sarcasm based on unheard of reality, but okay, so let's get this thing started. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to mention is that last week, when I spoke, when the video with Brittany and I speaking, while we were talking, I noticed while editing the video, the groups of people, at least 3 people walked by behind us with the horizontal black and white stripe shirt pattern. As we were shutting down, a guy came out, a guy parked in a red car next to another red car, one of the tactics, and as he was walking towards us, he was spinning his headphones directed at me while looking at me in some kind of threat that we're going to spin you to death. A common tactic I have, even with police officers looking at me, pulling out their flashlights and doing it, hinting that we're going to pretty much kill you with the psychological spin, race your mind, or what they called it when they sent Skylar, no offense to you, a redhead, after me at University of Colorado on IRC. Her real name was Stephanie, hinting that they were going to skull fuck me to death, and then wanting me to meet her in Florida where my brother lived, in these frame job operations where she picked me up, said, Kevin, let's go to my house. She gave me a blowjob, then said, I gotta go to the airport, and I said, I wish we had more time, and she said, sure you do, angrily. And then on the way to drop me off, as she's supposedly going to the airport, a police officer pulls us over, actually directed at me, which I didn't know at the time in these operations. But I don't want to get too sidetracked because I'm here to talk with Brittany. We also mentioned in the last video the Hearts and whatever it was, the police and firemen donation funding event, which Brittany could not make, but I went there, and I don't know if you watched that video. You probably didn't.
No, but I listened to the meeting.
Oh, did? What, at the going from booth to booth, or?
No, you did run Cigar. That's a long thing.
The what? Oh, that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But no, I
So, and I'll let you expand on that in a second. So just to sum that up, I went perfectly normal, but I didn't really have anyone to witness what was going to happen. Ironically, for the first time, the police and firemen were very professional. But the booths, the private citizens in the booths, the longer I was there, for a total of 40 minutes, the more and more their anger and rage progressed into the cryptic terror mimic tactics like perfect, alrighty, calling me dude and running over and over, some kind of, all these things, innuendos or trigger mechanisms in repetition, and you can see in their faces getting angrier. And one of the things that really triggered them was because one of the booths had they had all sorts of clothing, and I bought one of the camouflage caps, and they really got mad. And without going into detail, the reason they got mad is because some of their past lies with the psychology community is that I'm a violent paranoid schizo, and I think I'm in the army, and I think I'm like John Nash on some kind of mission and a crazy man.
I didn't know you had it was a hat. I thought it was a shirt.
No, it was like a baseball cap. Yeah, and I sort of explain on that video, I'm not doing anything out of the norm. So no matter what I do, and remember, it goes to thousands of different things like that. I could buy running shoes, I could buy a jacket, it wouldn't matter, and they just get angrier and angrier, showing that no matter how perfect I am, they just keep, the forest fire just keeps growing in anger and rage. Okay, now sorry, I tend to expand on things. So you listened to the video.
I
The video is, let me just let them know what the audio is. My last meeting with Seymour Amster and Debbie Bear, which we spoke a little about in the last video, is the scare ultimatum tactic that supposedly I violated probation, according to Dinse, with working with his Starbucks, contacting Starbucks employees, telling them to fabricate lies, just like he did with Terrence Scroggins. And what the lie was, I supposedly threatened to kill all Starbucks customers, which she watched the video in front of you on the last video, showing I didn't do anything at all, not even close, but get proof of their endless attacks to torture me to death. Well, Seymour and Debbie saying they could throw me in jail for 3 to 7 years or something for violating probation if I did, or possibly if I didn't. And then Debbie Woolman slipping in the, you should sign in, you should tell the judge before it even gets, before it even goes to the probation hearing that you want to be checked into a mental institution. Reinforcing what Dinse has on his Facebook, how to force people into mental institutions he just doesn't like. Okay, so, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
So I listened to it, and it sounded like that both of them, correct me if I'm wrong, both of them agreed with you after watching the video that you did not say that. That you didn't say anything about any of the Starbucks. At least Debbie.
They did agree.
Yeah.
But there's several facets. They agreed, but they said the judge might say, I didn't commit that threat crime, a new threat, but there could be more to it that we might want to bring Brittany on the stand, which could probably be I mean, we really don't want any more information going into the court, but Seymour just shuts me down over and over, and I don't know if you heard in the audio, I sent him the video, he said he didn't get it, he then said send me the video again, I sent him all these things I send him, he says he doesn't have, even though he does. Yeah, that's right, he couldn't open it. It took me this week, kept texting him, did you receive the video, did you receive the video, the short, just the one little, taking the entire story. See, he didn't want to watch the entire story, that's why.
She seemed like understanding, and that she agreed with you. Do you think that's true?
She did, but she's playing both sides of the fence. Okay, let me give you an example. When they threw me in a maximum security prison for 11 days, put me in the hole for 8 days, whatever. They had a rabbi come up.
Oh, that was on there.
I probably wrote it down.
Yeah.
And the rabbi said, you know, if you, something, I don't remember the exact words, but if you admit to your wrongdoings, we can get you in the Jewish dorm.
What does that mean? In jail?
Like they try to put people into segments, like Hispanics here, blacks here, even though the dorms. And I don't know what's really accurate or not, because a lot of it was planned out to try to flip me out. We'll get you away from these people and put you in the Jewish section, or there's supposedly an old man dorm, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Well, but he wanted the confession.
Okay, of you doing it.
Now, they seem to be trying to convert me into a devout Jew. Does that make sense? I'm gonna fabricate charges. I'm gonna scare you to death until you say, I did it, and I reform, and I'll be a good devout Jew, and I'll pray to God because, whew, you know, life is fragile, and the Jewish community got me out of this. Well, did they really get me out? No, they're putting me in it because all the communication is going straight between Debbie Woolman, Dinse, and my stepfather Arnold. There's the Angeline girl.
Oh my God.
So that was the girl that was involved in some of the setup operations down at Woodland Hills, Starbucks. Okay, we're in Thousand Oaks. Okay, so
Debbie, what she was saying in the video was that she tries to help people stay out of jail.
yeah, and I've never heard anything like this. They have like a website like the Olive, some Jewish organization. I haven't even taken the chance to look at it. And it's like, hey, we keep Jews out of jail. But what does that mean? I've never heard of a thing where our Jews are going to jail. Like, what?
No,
Does that even make sense?
I want to look it up so I can see exactly what.
And then I'll send you the link later. I don't know how to spell it. It's like Aleph, like ALEF or something, -institute.com or something like that. And supposedly it's the Jewish community trying to keep the Jews or other organizations. They probably do other things. Keep Jews out of jail. And I'm like, what? Are lots of Jews going to jail? Did I miss something? Right?
Is it just for Jewish?
Yeah. And so she said, like, if you listen to the audio, I have like 25 people in your position. Well, did I miss it? It sounds to me like they're scraping the jails to convert people into devout Jews. Does that make sense?
To keep people out of jail.
No. I think, this is my theory, I think what they're doing, it's kind of like the Jehovah's Witnesses coming to your door trying to convert you. They're preying on weakness. Okay, someone fucks up, they're Jewish, they go to jail, they step in, we're going to save you and make you part of the community. It's more like a mob, but it appears as we're your saviors, but more importantly, the information is going straight from her to Arnold, but more importantly than her information going straight to Arnold is Lead Officer Sean Dinse's information going straight to Arnold. My stepfather, Arnold Silver.
Can I ask you one question?
Yeah.
Too? So you didn't know that Debbie was going to be there? Are they able to share information like that? Like, is there a release saying that it's okay?
Well, she's not really my psychologist or psychiatrist.
You're right, but like in general, there's that lawyer-client confidentiality thing. So where does Debbie?
Well, true. If she's in a meeting with my lawyer, and then my stepfather's hinting about the conversation, which he did afterwards on the phone, right after I left the
meeting.
No, the police and fireman thing. Arnold, I think, was losing control, and he called me up in a thugging manner, wanting to get my property into his name, but offering to pay it off for me like a good guy, right? But he really wants control. And so
Debbie and Seymour worked together for a long time. I just don't understand, like, me as a therapist, you know.
No, my family. Okay, let's start from the beginning, because.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Dinse arrests me. Dinse's been working on me for 30 years, or multiple police officers and government people have been trying to set me up for 30 years, or since whatever. It starts at 5, but they really get bad at 16. Okay? We want to scare the shit out of Kevin. Kevin's not a devout Jew. Kevin didn't continue at 13 after getting bar mitzvahed, going to temple, but neither did my brother. They don't care about him. And no, honestly, 90% of Jews after getting bar mitzvah don't continue going to temple. But for some reason they're targeting me, and they want to scare the shit out of me, and they want to make me look like a criminal, and I've done all these things, and none of it's true. Dinse arrests me, and I'm leaving out the whole 30 years. And as I'm in the holding cell, Dinse's asking me private questions about, hinting that I'm angry because of being put between first and second grade in T1 class asking me, have you ever been sent to special schools and things like this? Well, remember, I kiss a black girl. I'm in T1 class, Sunny Skies Day Camp, which is converted to this T1. It might even have been a scam. And I kiss a black girl, like a little peck. And they go around telling the world I am full of hate and rage, I'm a white supremacist and hate black people because I kissed a black girl. Okay? That makes sense, except Jews date their own kind. Do you understand? Okay? Kevin veered off what we want for him. But that was the 80s. And in the 80s is past the 60s where interrelation, we're in the United States, the melting pot where all cultures get together, different cultures date, different races date. Nobody thinks any less of it unless you're some of those crazy radical people.
Right.
And my family are. So they get mad that I'm veering off the path of staying within the Jewish community. They send Dinse after me. They work the whole scam, how I'm crazy and have done all these things. I'm a racist. The opposite of who I am, open-minded, accepting everyone. Okay, so Dinse says, we're going to take you to jail, and I sarcastically say, nice, like, because he was pretending, hey Kevin, I just want to talk to you after reading my Miranda rights to get to the bottom of this, and we've also seen other videos of him trying to break in my house, I just want to talk to you. Yeah, right. Okay? So Dinse's being paid off, and then instantly getting out of jail for like a day and a half or something before the main arrest. Whatever, it's a whole bunch of things happen. But get out, instantly I'm talking to my family, and instantly Arnold says on the phone, nice, in a raised, elevated voice, letting me know that he's in contact with Dinse and all these things. Okay, and then everyone around the community starts saying nice in repetition to try to cover it up and confuse me. Okay, now then you're arrested. Then they finally get the falsified convictions, and then they throw me in jail. And then the rabbi comes in, and we're going to convert you, and this is your savior, the Jewish community.
What were the charges for, or what was he claiming?
He was claiming I did a 422 criminal threat with Terrence Scroggins, which Terrence Scroggins was running up to me, threatening me, and doing things to me over and over. And I said, like, leave me the fuck alone. And I did it in a threatening manner, but it wasn't a threat. It was like, if you don't fucking let me take my walk, I'm gonna cut you down.
Right.
Because he was throwing shit on my property. He keeps running up to me saying, this is my property, the property that I own. He's threatening to extort me with the homeowners.
Didn't he take your keys, or wouldn't let you in or something?
No, he's just threatening. Like, he runs up. Have you stopped passing out cards? And I said, I'll stop passing out cards when you guys stop attacking me. And then he says, we're going to charge you, me and the homeowners are going to charge you extra money. Well, why would the homeowners charge me money for telling people to leave me alone?
Right.
Okay, so then I said, well, if you do that, my lawyer will be contacting you. And he jumps back, stay away from me. Playing I'm the pit bull.
Like you were going to do something.
I'm the pit bull, then the victim. I'm the pit bull, then the victim. I'm the pit bull, then the victim.
Right.
Over and over and over. But more importantly, I have flat out audio recordings and proof from Brian Ushar down in Van Nuys Auto Body Shop, stating that Dinse is coming after me, and it says it on his Facebook website and all this. Yeah, 2 days before, I was brutally threatened and attacked, not just by Terrence, by communities ramping up their attacks. My point, the video you saw at the Starbucks, where I did nothing at all, and
You've never done it.
Sean Dinse is claiming that I threatened to kill all Starbucks customers, falsifying police reports. Same exact thing as Terrence. Yeah.
And Seymour would not let you see the report, right?
Correct.
Is that legal?
I don't know. First he says, Kevin, I'm going to send you the report.
Right.
And send me the video. And then I text him, you didn't send me the report. And he doesn't respond. Then he said, then finally, about a week goes by because I want to edit the full story of the video, not just a fragment, out of context fragment. Especially with you in it saying it's all bullshit. Or you were saying, Kevin isn't the type, I'm not the type of person that would do that.
The only way you would ever react in any type of aggressive nature is if somebody's attacking you and you're defending yourself.
Yeah, and that's the entire point of these worldwide mobbings, is to get these reactions to lock me away for no reason. Because there can't be a reason. If someone's violent, they're going to act out violently, and you don't need to provoke them.
Correct.
Yeah. So, what you're seeing is a repetitious pattern of behavior by Dinse and those working with him. So, let me think. So in the audio, though, in the meeting, you can see how Debbie's like, I'm your savior. But more importantly, you heard them say, the judge can possibly, if you violate a probation, you could be in jail for this misdemeanor up to 7 years. Which is insane. The punishment doesn't fit the crime, even if I were to be guilty.
And he retracted that too, and he's like, okay, so 4 years.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, no, I know.
Especially when the judge originally said 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay? And,
I don't know the law, I don't know if that...
They can do it.
That's crazy.
I looked it up, they can do it. But there's ramifications. There's a difference between what you can do and what other people are going to think about what you do. If that makes sense. Okay, so accountability. And when you said, Kevin, what should happen? Well, people need to be sued so that I'm compensated for damages, and that's what we call accountability.
Didn't Debbie say something about that?
No, they're trying to curve me into mental illness. Okay, so let me, you'll understand in a second. Kevin, this is what can happen to you. You could go to jail for 7 years. And then Debbie and Seymour both agree that I should go into the court next hearing before the judge says anything and say, I want to be checked into a mental institution so that this doesn't happen.
Right. And then
we don't even know the outcome.
Guilt. Like that's implying I didn't.
Yeah, it implies, it does two things. It implies I'm guilty. It implies I walk in saying I'm guilty, I want to be put in a mental institution, but there's a more important level here. It puts on the transcript, Kevin's guilty and he was checked into a mental institution.
So it's on.
Correct. Now what is it they don't want coming out? They don't want the fact that on the original hearing transcript, and we also have an appeals in process, all the Dinse things. Dinse contacting Terrence Scroggins, admitting on stand that Dinse contacted him first.
That's crazy.
Right? So all these things in the appeal are on my behalf, and Seymour intentionally lost the case. Intentionally, because I handed him silver bullets of video proof. He could have subpoenaed Brian Ushar to come up, take the stand, refused to do any of these things. Policeabuse.com, Kamau Diop, refused. Wouldn't do any of these things to help me. Okay? So they want to cover it up. And so they're threatening me. It's a bullying tactic.
Yeah, you don't really have... You have 2 options there. Is there like a third?
But let's break down the logic. Why do they want me in a mental institution so bad? Remember, 16 years old. My brother threatened it. He and his friends are going to put me in a mental institution for stopping him from bashing Greg while I was hitting him with a crowbar.
Right. It's been that way.
Okay? I mean, if that doesn't connect, and it's been non-stop since then and actually before then, okay, if that doesn't connect, I don't know what does. You might as well, if people can't operate on that level of logic, then the economy would collapse to begin with. There wouldn't be businesses and companies and...
They don't want you in the community.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're trying to excommunicate me from the planet based on your kind labels. But what does that mean? What is your kind? Kevin, you're not allowed to date women, and because you're single, your kind is not allowed to exist. Well, then let me fucking date women.
Right.
But even if I didn't date women, who the fuck cares? Because it's none of your fucking business, right? Sorry for my language. I get I like to get the point across in a direct way because these are serious situations. So what you heard on that audio was a thug tactic by the Jewish community working with Seymour, working with my stepfather Arnold Silver, while he's trying to take my property and put it in his name. Right?
Is this the email from him? Was that yesterday?
Either yesterday or the day before. It was the 13th.
Oh, this today.
No, wait. Oh, sorry, not the 13th. The 13th Police Foundation. It was called the 13th Police, 13th Hearts and something Police Foundation. It was the day. It was like an hour after I went to the Police Foundation thingy.
So Friday.
Yeah. So that's what you were hearing was thugging tactics in people conspiring together to force me into a mental institution, just like the thing on my website, on Sean Dinse's Facebook. How do we force people in mental institutions?
It says I need to see that.
Yeah. Remember I sent you that email.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so now this is kind of a, I don't want to call it a present, but a DVD I bought for Brittany, the movie 1984 by George Orwell.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. And the reason I'm giving her this is for her to understand the terror tactics.
Is this in Chinese?
No, it shouldn't be. I hope not.
Maybe the
Oh
subtitles.
shit! It might be. You might have a choice to switch audio. I hope.
Okay. Oh.
If not, I'll get you another one.
No, it's okay.
My point now. The first thing I want to say is because my family and these groups trying to control me, try to make it look like I conform to media and a violent paranoid schizo. Don't take it literally, like they're trying to cover this whole thing up. Take it as a parallel to the types of torture tactics. Okay? Now, I know you haven't seen this movie because you're too young. It's a very good movie. The whole theme, ironically, is Big Brother is watching you.
Really?
Yeah. Well, Jason Perlman bashing Gregoire with a crowbar. I'm watching you.
And you
sending all.
stopped him.
What?
You stopped him
I
from
stopped
doing
him, but after that, he was introducing me to all his friends, and they were taking turns on me with the police, trying to set me up. Now think about all my behavior crimes, which is a parallel to this movie. Kevin, you went to a coffee shop and you rested your feet up on a chair and you read a book. So you're pissing everyone off at coffee shops and doing all these horrible things to them, and this goes into thousands of different accusations like that. Well, I'm sure you as a psychologist would say that people buy lazy boy chairs, people rest their feet up on chairs.
It's not anything
Yeah.
at all.
So all these accusations by Dinse and the crew, well, you went to a coffee shop and you were in the bathroom longer than 45 seconds, so...
They turned the light off.
Yeah, they turned the light. Starbucks turned the light off on me 14 times. Topanga and Ventura, and then going down to Malibu, Starbucks, they started doing it. To try to torture me into false confessions. Okay? And that's just, it keeps jumping from thing to thing. So in the movie...
Can I show you this?
Yeah, sure.
So I looked up that institute,
Mm-hmm.
and I just have to show you. Look under financials what it says.
Oh, the whistleblower policy?
Yeah. Have you seen that?
But what exactly is the policy?
I don't know. I've just heard you say that, like trying to.
I think I briefly saw it, but after dealing with him in person, it's like I've already seen who this person is.
Right. I thought that was interesting because I know you've said before some things that are done to you.
Sure.
Calling you.
But here's the thing. They got a let's just say they have a whistleblower policy, but she's not going to the media or doing anything.
What does it mean?
I have no clue what it means. Right? These people just showed up. I don't know who they are. Remember, anyone could put up a website.
Correct. No, I just thought it was interesting since
Yeah, but they're not dealing with it from a whistleblower standpoint.
No, it just stood out to me.
Yeah.
I've never heard that term.
Debbie is just doing one thing. Debbie has done two things. She's tried to force me on a medication, and now she's trying to force me into mental institutions.
Did she try and force you, like, make you see a psychiatrist? Or what?
Well, what they did was I got out, and they said, here's probation. Here's your probation. We want you to go into a year of therapy. They didn't even say that. They just kept everything vague.
They didn't say
Like,
specifically, we need you to see a psychiatrist.
Seymour just said they want you to get help, but of course he didn't give me any specifics because he wants to trip me up and throw me in jail.
Did they say that you violated because you didn't see a psychiatrist to get on medication?
What?
Did they say you violated probation because you didn't?
They're trying to do whatever they can. Whatever they can. And you have to understand the reasoning. Because they don't want me talking. With all the death threats. You better not talk. You don't talk or we kill you. But you better learn to accept what's going on or it's going to get a lot worse for you.
Right.
You name it. Okay.
Your past choices, right?
What?
Something about your past didn't object to you or something, right?
Well, that's what my mother said.
Your mom.
My past caught up with me and hinting I better leave the country. My father said I know what I did. The Garrett at Topanga Adventure of Starbucks said it's my transgressions.
Your transgressions.
Yes, but remember, meaning crimes.
Correct. I'm saying, like, what on earth would somebody else?
Well, they won't say. That's the point.
I know.
I
just
have-
saying,
okay,
I'm
look.
confused too, 'cause-
I'm going to tie you to a chair. I'm going to shove a hot poker up your ass. You better tell me what you did.
right. They won't
Eventually,
take it as
after
a-
18 years, you might go,
I did
you might
whatever
make
you
shit
said.
up, right? You're in so much pain. I killed 10 people. I built 100,000 bombs. I don't know. What do you want me to tell you, you know? Because just stop. Just leave me alone, right?
Yeah,
Torture.
absolutely. You would-
Torture. Where's the movie? 1984? Torture. Okay?
I don't know what that
The
is.
movie 1984 is about making people... You're not allowed to read books. You're not allowed to take walks in the forest with your friends. You're not allowed to do this. If you do, you will be punished. Okay? That's the things that are being done to me, literally.
That's what it is. Yeah, who controls the past controls the future. That's what it is. The whole very common.
Yeah. And ironically, the end of the movie where the guy tortures the guy with psychology and the guy, there's nothing he can do but sit and play chess until finally there's some kind of war or something where one side, I don't know, right? But
I want to see. I'm going to watch it.
yeah, it's really good. So, but once again, we're going back to we're doing things out of movies to make flip Kevin out, make him look crazy and make it look like he conforms to media. But now I go see a therapist, Alex Lazar, right by the Encino Starbucks,
That's on here. Yeah.
and he introduces me. He says, you know, I'm going to introduce you to a person, and he can go to Starbucks and witness what's going on. And his name was Rick Armando, supposedly an ex-guitar player for the band 1994.
Really?
Yes. And Rick, I prove it to Rick, and Rick's story changes after I prove it. I don't want to go to the police with you anymore. And he starts getting angry at me. And he starts trying to set me up. And he starts telling me weird things, that I have a psychic that can read people's minds and verbatim and all weird things like this. Okay? So why did Rick, who's supposed to help me with the psychology community, and Alex get so mad when I told Alex that they're saying that I'm filled with anger and rage, and Alex's eyes, when I tell him, drops to the floor with guilt. And then he sends Rick Armando over after me, and then he starts telling everyone that my studio photography with Aubrey Fisher is so that I can meet women. Did you see the connections?
Okay.
And this all happened at Encino Starbucks on Havenburst.
Sorry, there was a bee right by your head. Sorry. I'm sorry.
This is a total sarcastic joke, but you should not. You don't seem like a camping type of person.
No, I have. No,
Oh, okay.
it's not my. I mean, I've done it, but bees aren't my thing.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's okay.
Okay, so Rick Armando was just some random person that he tried to say.
They somehow brought this guy in. I don't know who he really was.
Yeah.
If he really was an ex-band member of 90. He looked like he could play the guitar, but I can't tell you, half these people they bring in are fakes, okay?
Right.
I've seen my family and these people bring in fakes over and over. Some posing as lawyers. Freeman, what was his name? Steve Freeman was supposed to help me find a criminal defense attorney, and he said he was a criminal defense attorney. Turned out he's an attorney that works for an insurance company on the civil side. Right. Okay, so, anyways, working with my stepfather and family to try to make me look crazy. So all these things, all the things that happened that got really bad at Encino Starbucks starting around 2011 with the cars worldwide parking backwards and the no plates, all linked to psychiatrist Alex Lazo.
He was a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
So did he try to, or were you taking medication?
I actually was taking medication, and I think he had me on like 5 at once or something. And he just kept cramming shit in me, and he wouldn't talk about the truth. And the more I was telling him what was being done to me, even while on medication, he got angrier and angrier because it was you don't talk. So,
see, that's what's interesting to me too, because you would think that once you start taking the meds or whatever, that they would like back off.
correct.
So they could be like,
Okay.
see, I told you.
Right? Yeah. The motive. Let's just say, theoretically, Kevin's filled with aggression, so we want him on meds. So Kevin's on meds for 5 years or something, so we're gonna stop. But they didn't stop. It got worse and worse and worse.
Did it ever
So-
like, stop at all? Or
No, never. It just got worse. And so is the reason about putting me on meds is the reason silencing me or torturing me and offing me if I don't shut up. Okay? And remember, my website appeared around that time, around 2010.
When you were seeing Alex Lazo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure, but
That's crazy. So did
my
you just,
point is...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I talk a lot
go.
because there's so much.
No, it's
The point is as long as I have the ability, even without a website, to sit down with a friend and say, you know, my dad's a crazy man and he put shock collars on his dogs and he did these things to me, that is a threat to them without a website.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay?
For sure.
And that's how this thing escalates from childhood is I'm telling my friend in University of Colorado, Daryl Loon, a pool player, that my dad had shock collar on his dog Rhoda, and all of a sudden professors start working on it. You don't talk, right? I didn't even know what was going on.
Well, of course not, because like that's just a fact, and like who would care, you know? So absolutely.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Okay, so did you stop eventually? Like, when were you like, okay, I'm not gonna go see this dude anymore, like the psychiatrist? Or did he stop?
I don't know. I think he might have been around 23 or 24. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. Wait. I don't know. I can't remember. I'd been to 24. No, he was probably about, let's just say he was about 17. I don't know.
Okay.
They arrest me. Dinse's partner, Dinse and Jensen arrest me in 2013 for sitting on the sidewalk.
Right.
Which is really a lot more complex, bigger story, but it all comes down to the same thing. They don't want me talking.
Correct.
That 2013 arrest happened because at this point I knew what was going on. I wasn't dumbed down. So instead of being manipulated into therapy, I wanted to go on my own.
Okay, that's good.
So I started making the phone calls. On my own.
Yeah.
Not, Kevin, you should. No, I really got to tell someone what I found out.
It wasn't court mandated, it was what you wanted to do.
Correct.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
so I called Cree Eshigan in Woodland Hills and tried to tell her what was going on. She kept lying. I see it, but I don't see it. Here's video. I see it, but I don't see it. First she lied, like, I see it, I see it, I see it. And then, who knows, 4 months into it, well, I see what you're saying, but you think differently. And this is after me saying we should have joint therapy with my father. And my father and Lorena Escobar getting all private transcripts of my conversations. Yes. And these conversations being given out to the world. And Lorena twisting and contorting, my father's office manager, the conversations, twisting and contorting them out of context like they've been doing to me my whole life, and playing their Brian Longbotham spy game tactics. I know you said this, I know you said that, plugging hidden messages. And that's when the 2013 arrest happened. So think about the police argument. We don't want you talking, so now we're going to arrest you, and then we're going to tell you, you need to go get help. But you better say what we want you to say. After her, I just kept calling and going to different ones, and they all kept lying and trying to trick me into mental institutions and all sorts of weird different things. Yeah, they're all working together. Now remember the movie Split?
Yeah.
24 personalities, a guy named Kevin with a horde, 24 personalities, and right before that movie was made, my website said I now have been to 24 therapists and they all keep lying. Yeah.
And so then, was it like not by choice that you went to see the dude in the psychiatrist? Was that like a court thing you have to do, or was it by choice?
It was by choice, but it was kind of manipulated through a list of, I think, names that my mother was giving me. So my mother is poisoning the well, and I went through therapists sort of tracing the communication back to my mother. Okay, here's the argument. I'm known worldwide, but I'm told I'm imagining it. I go to a therapist, they're not supposed to know who I am. Yeah. But you can tell that they're being they're fed information. Kevin suffers from depression. Kevin's a manic depression. Kevin's full of anger and rage. Well, how would they know that?
Right.
They wouldn't know that.
No.
They would know me from the first visit. Go, Kevin, what's your problem?
Exactly.
So they're trying to curve.
They would get to know you.
Yeah.
Have a bias.
Yeah. So just like all the people growing up with, my friends, the women I tried to date, the people in colleges, all approached beforehand. Right. Kevin's this, Kevin's that. And these things change. Then you're trying to get help, and Kevin's a schizo. So don't believe anything he says. Kevin's nickname in high school was Kid Taco, even though it's about being called a Mexican, and he keeps talking about things that don't make sense. A fabrication. So don't listen to anything he says. Right? Do you understand? Poisoning the well.
That's fair.
Correct.
Because then you can't, if somebody has already been, it's like there's a bias, and there's this thinking about you, and they didn't get to know you and who you are.
Yeah.
They're already under they're already believing that you are one thing that you're not. So you don't get a fair chance at all.
Yeah, but remember, it's not gossip, it's not drama, it's strategic in nature.
Right.
It's also a civil crime, defamation, slander, libel.
And it's breaking confidentiality.
And the truth be told, the intent is criminal to hurt, harm, maim, and kill, which makes it a criminal crime and a civil crime, even though nobody's going to admit that. It's crime after crime because, for example, if I go to University of Colorado before the internet, and then I transfer to if I go to Southern Oregon State College before the internet, transfer to University of Colorado before the internet, the entire city's told these things.
Right.
How is that information flowing by itself?
Right.
It's not. There's manipulation. Okay, so not only is that illegal, has criminal intent behind it, but there's motive. There's premeditation and there's motive. Okay, so, and then you tell someone, you can't do that. Why can't I tell anyone about my life? That's my First Amendment, freedom of speech.
It's your life.
It's my life. It's not their life, it's my life. Yeah, and if I move from California to Colorado or Oregon, I should be able to live my life without people going up to each and every person I talk to going, Kevin's a violent paranoid schizo and he's done all these things and all these things aren't true. And so they're from 5 years old systematically destroying my credibility and isolating me so that I can never get help or tell anyone systematically. Now who does that? Who has, not only that, but who has the resources? Okay, even if you have a psycho family, They don't have the resources. The government has the resources. Even local police departments, before the internet, didn't have the resources. It would take a special group of probably FBI people or something like that.
Right. Have the resources.
Yeah. Okay. So it all comes to government flagging at 5 years old.
And you said that the only thing you can think of how that could even happen is when you were born. You were born on like a naval base, right, or some type of base, and your dad.
I was born in Merced, California, on Castle Air Force Base. We moved at a very young age, like 4 years old. We moved to Woodland Hills onto Tierra Street, where I told Brittany at around 4 years old, I threw water in the street, water and mud. I was building like sand castles in the gutter.
Yeah.
And I was done, and I threw some water. I threw my mud and water out of a cup or a pail into the street. When I was done, about to go in the house, and it hit a car, and the guy ran out of the car angry, which makes sense. And I think he might have like yelled or something, probably not too loud. I don't know. You're a 4-year-old this high, and I'm crying, and I run in scared shitless and whatever. Now, I can't tell you what was going on in my family's brains, but I can tell you I've been hunted ever since over some insignificant childhood thing that doesn't matter, and now they're trying to turn around on me saying, Kevin, you can't go out and live your life because you have childhood trauma.
So, okay. So that event, do you feel like they were just waiting for something that could show that you, because like, that was a total accident. Holy mom, I have two.
I never thought anything of it.
No,
never.
Of course you didn't, because it's not anything to think anything of.
It's so small, it doesn't matter.
Correct. But is that what they took and ran with that?
I think that's where it starts. But here's the problem. Their paranoid psychotic behaviors and their obsession, they collect and they collect and they collect and they collect and they collect things that they can use against you, going, our son's crazy.
Right.
Kind of like Seymour said, it didn't make sense. When people think you're crazy, they try to get anything to use against you. Well, they don't. I don't. I've seen lots of crazy people.
Right.
I've never tried to get anything to use against crazy people.
Here's the thing, if you're crazy, like, then if you're trying to prove they're crazy, then they are, then you don't have to use anything against them to prove it. You know what I mean?
But you're right. And the thing is, someone with that kind of obsession is going to prove to themselves that they're right. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm following my son from place to place. I'm sending people into his life to befriend him, to get information. Kevin now did this. Kevin now did that. See, I told you so. But they're proving to themselves, based on looking at someone's life under a microscope, every little nook and cranny. It's like if you got into photography with a macro lens and you looked at a cotton ball and you pick apart each hair and you analyze each hair, but that's not how humans think. That's what you call obsession, okay? Humans let it go, things that don't matter. Hey, you broke up with a girl by texting her. That's kind of an asshole thing, but whatever. Who the fuck cares? My family would say, you're an asshole monster, and people... I didn't break up with anyone texting, but still, I'm using it as theoretical. You're an asshole monster who text broke up and need to be removed from society because you're crazy. Shit doesn't make sense, right? Okay.
Honestly, and then also, I've never thought about this before, but like, if they really wanted to do that, like when you were little or whatever, then they could have, because at that time, you're minor. They could have done it, so is it just to, like, torture you?
It's hard to know. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
Because the way my brother's treated, they don't care that he went... I swerve and hit people at random on his license plate frames, getting pulled over by the police, with that, putting crowbars and baseball bats in his trunk, causing havoc on the streets. They don't give a shit. But Kevin threw some mud in the street.
Right.
Does that even make any fucking sense? Sorry again?
It doesn't.
Right?
Not at all.
Okay, so...
No, you're an innocent little
Okay,
boy.
so if they think a psychotic murdering brother is a good guy, but you farted wrong, wouldn't your conclusion be it's really about, I don't like what I got?
It would have to be, because it's, that makes no sense. You you're wrong, how do you for right? You know, like come
Yeah.
on now. And then if they aren't concerned with your brother at all, so then yeah.
The app, we were recording, but the app was acting weird. Okay, so where were we?
Your parents' childhood throwing water into the street and things like that.
Yeah, okay, so I'll sum it up really quick. They're looking for they're looking for the answer to the problem in their head. Okay, they're trying to solve an equation that doesn't exist.
You can't solve something with the same thinking that created it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think our son's crazy, I think our son's violent, and the more they look to try to prove it to be true,
they find things.
they find things in their own head, but that's not the problem. The problem is they're contacting everyone on the planet with their theories, destroying my life.
Right.
And it's going to the entire psychology community worldwide. It's going to the entire police worldwide. It's going to NSA level data mining operations where everything's taken out of context. And then it's all thrown back at me by worldwide support. You know what you did and you better confess. And they're going through each and every aspect of my life, of other people's things, and they're pinning it on me. Which is a perfect lead-in to what's on these notes. One of the things my mother has gone batshit crazy over is...
What is the fire time?
I'm going to get to that. Okay. My mother, at 14, my one and only argument and fight with my mother is disobeying her to ride around on a motorcycle with all my friends that they bought me. My mother said, you're not allowed to leave the house. And I said, fuck you, who cares what people think? Because she said something about other people or something like that.
Sorry.
Right?
No, because so she was concerned about what other people would think if you were on a motorcycle.
I don't remember the exact... No, that wasn't it. I don't remember the exact argument. Here, I'll give you a brief overview. They bought me an 80cc Kawasaki 2-cycle, which was louder than shit, dirt bike.
Okay.
But for some reason, I don't know why, my dad had a 100cc 2-cycle, 4-cycle. Now, you probably don't know much about motorcycles. Dirt bikes.
I love her.
Dirt bikes are like, and they're fucking wake everyone up.
Yeah.
A 4-cylinder is very quiet. So I chose to drive the quiet motorcycle, which they're running around saying I stole my father's motorcycle, which he never drove. Okay, next level of argument, which I don't want to go too deep. Why would a grown man have a 100cc?
Right.
Grown man drives 650s. My dad bought a motorcycle and he bought a 1050 touring bike. 100? Do you understand? A 100cc. So their argument is, well, Kevin's a thief because he stole his father's motorcycle. Well, yeah, give me a break. I stole a little kid's bike sitting in the garage.
Right. Well, did you steal it?
I didn't steal it. I just drove it.
Yeah.
And, okay, now you're saying, well, Kevin, you're out on motorcycles. Tom Farley's parents bought them little 50cc's. We hung out with the Thunas, Wayne and Marcus Thuna. They had 250 4-cylinders. And we all just cruised around hitting hills. So there's no argument that Kevin's tearing up the streets on motorcycles. No, everyone's doing, like everything else, everyone's doing the same exact thing, but they're just mad at Kevin. Now there was a situation where the dude from Amison's Ranch, I'm driving on the street and a hand comes out of the car and he grabs my shirt while I'm driving, could have pretty much killed me. And the guy got mad because people on motorcycles were tearing up his construction. It obviously wasn't me because I wasn't on some super motocross bike.
He grabbed your shirt.
Yeah, but they're not mad about that. Actually, I don't think I ever told them about that, but they're not mad about it.
That's crazy.
So because I don't want to go too deep because it's pointless, I didn't do anything different than anyone else. There was no chaos or havoc. There was no out of control. There was one thing. Kevin said fuck you to his mother in his one and only argument ever with his mother. And I'm 47 now, and she's still holding it in. That I defied her, I ruined her life, and I need to be stopped. Do you understand?
Children defy their parents a whole lot more than you do.
Exactly. And so I have random strangers yelling at me, "Fuck you," to try to guilt me about 14, which is absurd. I mean, how many kids probably said "fuck you" to their parents or disobeyed their parents? Every single one. I only did it once my entire life.
Yeah.
But now we're talking after 18. Kevin, I don't want you to date this girl because she has tattoos, so you defied us at 30 years old. So we're going to send people in to try to plant drugs in your house, and right, doesn't make any sense, but a psychotic murdering family, right? Yeah. Okay, so now you ask about the fire. Sorry, I'm talking so much because we only have an hour and a half. It's up until 1 o'clock. It's 12:38. This is very important because the new re-release of Backdraft came out. The continuation of the original Backdraft.
Movie?
Correct. Once again, hidden messages from personal aspects of my life in the next movie, which they go from movie to movie, trying to flip me out and make me look like I conform to media. Now, what happened at... Kevin was 10 years old, Kevin was 12 years old, I'm not sure. We're living in our house in Hidden Hills, and this is a big one with the cops and fire department. We're living in our house in Hidden Hills. Richard Grunberg comes up to my brother, and he's Jason Perlman, and he says, "I got these sparklers, let's light them." And I'm there, or I wander up, "What you guys doing?" You know, "What you guys doing?" Right?
You're a little brother, yeah.
Yeah, I'm the 2-year younger brother. "What you guys doing?" And oh, we're lighting sparklers, and they're throwing the sparklers down our back hill, which is filled with brush. Filled with brush in Hidden Hills.
That's not
Okay, so I'm like, okay, whatever, and I walk away. Now,
You didn't partake at all.
I didn't partake. I just showed up at the event and then walked away like, well, you do your own thing.
That doesn't look too smart, but go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what exactly I was thinking, but I was kind of like, I don't really care or something. You know, you do your own thing.
Your brother is like God. You know, when you're little, you look up to him.
I don't think I ever really looked up to him, but
Sorry.
I didn't because he was always bullying me. He kept flicking, he would show me movies and flick me in the ear over and over from behind and try to trigger me. And now everyone worldwide is saying I bullied him, which is weird.
That doesn't make any sense.
And without going into the dynamics of the paranoid schizophrenia tactics of why he was flicking me in the back of the ears and him and his friends showing me horror movies and all these things, I'm not going to get into that. I just didn't really care. Oh, you're throwing sparklers, whatever, I walk away. I might have been thinking that really doesn't amuse me. I don't know. I can't tell you.
Right.
All my friends had firecrackers and M80s and M1000s. I didn't really care. Eric Johnson was blowing up mailboxes and school lockers and things like that. I didn't really care. Except that when Eric Johnson said, "Come with me, I'm going to blow up their mailbox or whatever," and then they pinned it on me. But I don't want to get too sidetracked. About an hour later, probably not even an hour, someone's knocking on our door at Hidden Hills. Hey. And my dad answers the door. "Hey, your hill's on fire." And my dad's like, "Yeah, whatever, right, get out of here. I don't have time for this shit." And the guy's like, "No, your hill is on fire." And they go out, and the hill's on fire. And the firemen come. We all get out. We get hoses, and we all.
Was it big?
It wasn't. It was fairly big. It wasn't huge, but it was a good size. There was a good amount of people. You know, maybe like 5 or 10 people in the community with the hoses and towels.
So it was definitely large.
Yeah, and the funny part is they got it out, and then the firemen showed up after, and they ran over our little garden. I think my brother planted or whatever. And there's all sorts of references in the movie Big Stan about gardens and pissing on strawberry. All sort of fragments of our lives or my life taken to use to try to send me hidden messages.
Right.
And they just from movie to movie to try to flip me out. Hence their lies, Kevin conforms the media, which their lies came before I even figured out what was going on.
Right.
Okay?
Did you see that fire truck?
Oh, no.
The fire truck just drove by.
That's funny. To make a long, it wasn't really that big of a deal by the sounds.
Well, it could have been.
It could have been, yeah.
For sure.
But here's the problem. At around 34, my father, after my family having Mike Huntley reel me in and bring, Kevin, I want to start a company with you. And my father going, Kevin, if you move back from Colorado, you can live in my house for a year working as angles. My mother calling up at the same time, Kevin, you should remember our last conversation. We talked about the Noah Schiller and Deborah Schiller and migrating me into Noah Schiller's house to spy on me. Kevin, you should. Mike wants to. Oh, my mother. Kevin, you should finish your last 2 classes from University of Colorado at Pierce or something and transfer the credits over. Hey, that's a good idea. So I moved back, pure pressured. Remember, Mike Huntley changes. He does a 180. Kevin, I'm your 15-year-old friend, and I want to make money with you. And then at 29, I've given you enough rope to hang yourself with. We're using the system against you. I'm now in the system where they're trying to lock me away for life and put me in mental institutions. So my father, after I dissolved the company with Mike Huntley, who showed his true colors.
Was that the... Well, sorry, go ahead. No, continue. I don't want to take too much.
That was around 29, around 34, my father approaches his office manager, Lorraine Escobar, and says, hire Kevin, ask Kevin if he wants to work in my company.
Your dad didn't ask you?
Not directly, yeah, Lorena, because she has big old silicone tits and whatever. But she doesn't do anything but hunt me. She's masked. She's masked as the office manager, but that's not her real job. She's contacting women at Southern Oregon State College, University of Colorado, where she comes in around when I was 16, and they're sending women after me to try to set me up, and they try to make it look like I'm angry and violent.
Right.
So once again, continuing what Mike Huntley did, reel you into a workplace and have the entire office work on you. So now my father comes up and, Kevin, do you want to go out to lunch with me and Lorraine every Tuesday and Thursday or Monday and Wednesday, I can't remember. Sure, why not? Free food, good. It's my father. I don't know what he's involved in.
Yeah. Why bring Lorena?
Well, because she's like his hit woman or hitman, right?
At the time, though, like, what did you think? Did you think it was weird?
No, because that makes sense. She's the office manager, and he goes out and supposedly talks about business.
Okay, they already did. I got
But that's not what was really happening. They would take me out to lunches and try to say things to get confessions to use against me. And at the same time, they would tell all the restaurant employees to provoke me to try to trigger me into anger. So I walk into a restaurant and every single, just like the repetition with the other things, I walk into a restaurant and each hostess says, enjoy, 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 enjoy. And then maybe you go out to dinner away from them in a different place, enjoy, 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 enjoy. And then maybe you say something to someone on Twitter, like a friendly comment, and they mimic the comments while you're eating, and nonstop, every few minutes. And all the 28 employees in the office for 14 years, nonstop. These tactics in the thousands, like the other things we're talking about. And also, I forgot to mention, we're here at the cigar shop. Right now it's not happening, but whenever I've been here on video, tons of people walk down the street with the identical clothing colors, or trying to provoke me with verbal things. Well, maybe they're talking to each other, and as they walk by, they go, wow, really loud, and it's done over and over. And all sorts of cryptic things taken from my private life to try to get me to go after them, right? Okay, so my father takes me out on one of these lunches, and he says, oh, Kevin, remember when you lit the back hill on fire?
But you don't do that.
Correct.
Oh, man, I didn't get very upset.
His continuing pathological lying statement.
What did you say? Did you tell him?
Yeah, I said that wasn't me, that was Jason. But he doesn't care because he wants me dead and gone. Then the continuing statement, pathological lying statement of his, was that he went to every single one of my wrestling matches. He only went to one. Okay?
Is he trying to make himself look good? Or is he
Of course, he's an orthopedic surgeon, so he's got to look good. Okay? So then, what else? I asked him about when he told me his ex-Cuban wife, Janet, he told me he supposedly grabbed the steering wheel and tried to launch his car into a tree.
While they were both in it?
Yeah. He couldn't remember that event. I think that's strange.
Very much so.
Okay, so he's a pathological liar. He'll say anything. Why did he want me to move in with Janet right when they were getting married? And he's been telling the world that I've been trying to sabotage all his relationships. You see a little pattern of behavior
Oh
here?
my god.
Okay, so, but the point about the fire is they're running around saying I'm an angry, violent, enraged person who lights their hills on fire and I'm the devil child. Okay, so now let's think about the psychology, because these behaviors are the same and done in repetition.
Right, even if they're different.
Yeah, they just switch from thing to thing. If my father is saying, I've never said a thing about it, I couldn't even really care, I couldn't remember it.
Right.
If my father just wanted to take me, oh, one more thing. Within this lunch or ones at the same time at Claim Jumper's restaurant, Lorena asked me, Kevin, do you ever have violent thoughts?
What a weird question.
Do you see what they're doing?
Yeah.
Okay.
What did you say?
I think I said, well, people probably do have violent thoughts from time to time. I think I probably have from time to time had some kind of violent
Who
thought.
hasn't thought about punching someone in the face at some point? You don't
Correct.
do it. You don't
There's a
have to.
difference between what you think and what you do, and people, if you could read someone's mind,
Like, who
that's
would?
not worded. If everyone could read everyone's mind, everyone would be in jail for no crime.
Right. Because,
That's why you can't read people's minds.
right.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure she had, like, everybody has thought something like that.
Mhm.
They could be horrified.
And that also applies to your first or your constitutional protections. If you, like that's been done to me since 1994, if I could put spyware on your computer, if everyone could put spyware on everyone's computer, everyone would be criminals who are good people. Does that make sense? Because you would, like NSA, you would piece this with that and this with that, and you would come up with these fantasies.
Together, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so, and some of the things they're coming after me for was testing my database I was building for the erotic ranch system, adults, like a Facebook type adult system in the early 90s. And I was putting, so this was ahead of its time, now it's pointless, but back then it was kind of ahead of its time. Putting in test data, Fred, Bill, John, in the insert and delete queries or whatever, Fred, Bill, John, Al Bundy, Ted Bundy, Fred, Ollie, Joe, Bill.
Just test.
Kevin typed in Ted Bundy. Kevin's a murderer. Well, what about the rest? That doesn't matter.
Right.
We're nitpicking what we can use against you.
Whatever you think.
Yeah. And I can go into tons of things like that. Jen Hess calling me up on the phone saying, Kevin, will you check my email for me in Hotmail? Here's my password. Or Rhodey Morales, Julia Sophia Rhodey Morales, also calling me up saying, Kevin, will you check my Hotmail? Here's the password. And then everyone's saying, I'm hacking people's emails.
And
Worldwide.
Right, but everybody knows that you're not, and they know you're a trusting person, or else nobody would give you their information.
Yeah.
So, like, they know.
Yeah. So they know I'm a good
But then they
person, but they
spin
have
it.
motive to
Spin it.
either kill me or eradicate me. And that's the real question. And this all starts at 5 years old with government flagging operations. Okay, so we got about 10 minutes. Greg on the crowbar. I don't know if we talked about Greg on the crowbar.
With your brother?
I mean, I know we talked about it, but on camera.
Well, you mentioned it briefly, but you didn't elaborate.
Okay, since I'll just high speed. My brother goes after Gregoire with a crowbar. I stop my brother from bashing Gregoire's skull in by jumping in front of it. My brother tells me he and his friends put a teacher in a mental institution. After that, he tells me he has a bug in my room. He'll listen to everything I do on the radio. Paul Humphrey sent after me with his bug. Mike Huntley sent after me with his Volkswagen. yellow bug, working both sides where you're friends but we're not, and endless other my brother's friends working on me all throughout my entire life, like Mike Wexler, Jason Baum sent after me at University of Colorado, you name it. So I don't know if we talked about that on camera or not, but you get the idea that these are linked events, connected events. And now one last thing, because we only have 10 minutes, Brian Longbotham sent after me, coming out of University of Colorado, or partly in University of Colorado during summers. I want to get into 3D animation, visual effects.
He just literally almost talked his hair.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're pretty cool. Okay, so Brian Longbotham, I want to get into animation. I basically tell my mother I'll sweep the rugs. I'm learning 3D animation on my own at University of Colorado. I'm buying 3D Studio educational package from the student store, DOS version, that's how long ago this was. And learning it myself through books from bookstores because colleges couldn't afford or teach these things, except for the super expensive ones. And I took it upon myself, and they tried to make it look like I was jealous of other people, like competition with other people who were sort of doing the same thing, which isn't true. And then I tell my mother I'll sweep the floors to get into the industry and learn it. My mother, through a friend in Hidden Hills, I can't remember his name, supposedly knows Brian Longbotham, but probably a government setup because he's heavily involved for like 20 years or 15 years in these operations. A friend of the family, can't remember their name, it'll probably come back to me, in Hidden Hills that lived right by Tom Farley, knew the owner of Modern Video Film, and Modern Video Film hired me for summers to intern on the Power Ranger crew.
Really? That's cool.
And Brian Longbotham was the head, and I worked under Brian Longbotham, but Brian Longbotham wasn't who he said he was. Brian Longbotham gets fired because, this is the story anyways, because
he was the head and he got fired.
Of the visual effects, chief all visual effects. They didn't really have much of anything. Like, they weren't competing with the big boys.
Yeah.
And Brian Longbotham supposedly gets fired for sticking up for someone on the credit rolls and them not putting in the credit rolls and him getting mad or something. Fired. He sues for $1 million for breach of contract. I don't think it's true. Later on, Brian sends Victoria Walker and Michael Bialis after me. Now, the 187's on the car, the things you've seen with Victoria Walker.
Wasn't her address 187?
Well, she strategically, about a year ago, moved into 187 out in Newbury Park and called me up. And them saying I'm a schizo who thinks he's O.J. Simpson. All linking to Brian Longbotham hiring me at Universal Studios and telling me that Wes Craven on the pilot Hollyweird is doing a prank on someone and he wants me to splice in O.J. Simpson playing the scene. It turns out he's setting me up to frame me with Wes Craven. Right? Then he sends Victoria Walker after me. Oh, by the way, meeting Deborah, what was her name?
Bear? Is that right?
Deborah Bear.
Is that right?
Deborah Ted Bear. With Seymour, she looks like an older version of Victoria Walker. Isn't that spooky?
Really?
With all the other Mike Wexler lookalikes? And
That's crazy.
yeah, now I met Deborah Bear one other time.
Individually?
No, with maybe 6 months ago with a meeting with Seymour. And I can't remember what she looked like, but I don't remember her looking like that. And I would have to try to match up the voices. But it seems like it might have been a completely different person. I can't tell you because I've only talked to her in person a couple of times for a very short time, right?
She always with Seymour too. When you
No, she's not with Seymour. She's with Arnold Silver.
No, I'm just confused about how it's like legal / ethical for her to meet with him without your knowledge or awareness that it's an
It's probably not. I don't think it is because there's attorney confidentiality. And
contract that you sign,
yeah, I've never released any
have Have you signed anything?
No.
Okay.
So what's going on is she's like the manipulation tool, right? Arnold says, Kevin, this person. So what they do is they arrest me. I get out of jail. You need to get help. Hey, we have the Olive Corporation. They're going to write therapy letters to show that you're in therapy. She's going to kind of be your guide to keep you out of jail while trying to force me on a medication with Ben while having people slash my tires and things like this. If I don't, another guy that supposedly works. Like, for example, the first person I want you to talk to Ben of our organization, and he comes off as this, visually anyways, like the mobster-ish, and the voice of a mobster-ish. Doesn't mean he is a mobster-ish.
No, but that's,
well, you know, I think you should really do this, and, you know, like the tough guy. Okay, and I'm like, no, and then they slash my tires and things like that. Okay, so anyways.
Which never was rectified by police or anything, right? They slash your tires and they say, like, oh, we don't see anything, or oh, like, that must have happened, or whatever. No,
the police look at it and go, oh, your tires are old. 7 tire slashings.
Yeah, I saw
1 tire slashing, the Oxnard and...
It was intentional, for sure.
Oxnard, I call a tow truck. This is on the way to court. I go stop at the Oxnard Canoga gas station and walk into the coffee shop, Starbucks, buy a coffee, come out, my tire's flat. People are sitting there provoking me, trying to cover things up and accuse me of things. Tire slash. I call AAA. Tow truck comes out. Gas station guy comes out with metal objects, telling the guy holding it up, all on video, holding it. You're not allowed to tow his car. I have a court date in a couple hours. Think that's a little strange? I tried to get that video to the LAPD in Topanga. We're not going to take it. I have crimes on video. We're not going to take it. You see something? Okay, so it's about 1 o'clock.
Is that an alarm?
What?
Is that an alarm? Or is your phone?
No, it's my phone. But so I guess we're about to close. Brittany's got to go. Brittany, is there anything you want to add? Oh, this is the one really important thing. Brian, at 29, before I start realizing who he was, says to me, stop doing what you're doing. I don't know what that means, but I do know he's trying to make me look like John Nash in The Beautiful Mind, or John Nash, the mathematician that went crazy and thinks he's a government agent and all these things.
Right.
Okay, and so I know you have to go, but do you care to elaborate on whether I'm a crazy man who thinks he's a government operative? And I've had lots of strangers ask me if I work for the government.
Well, you definitely are not working for the government. You don't think that you do or whatever. And like everything you're saying, I've seen on video. So it's like you're not making this shit. You're not making this up.
She's seen it on video.
And I've seen
She's seen it on video. She's seen it on video, right?
I have. And
Okay.
I've seen the crimes that have happened. I've seen the videos of you going into the police stations and nobody helping you. You know, I've seen that. Nothing. I've seen your car completely vandalized numerous times on video.
Like thousands. Yeah, I mean, you haven't seen every. She's only seen like 0.0000001%, but she's like, I can't believe it, right?
I was appalled that nobody helped you.
Yeah, it's insane.
Because it's like clearly this is happening and the dog attacker and all that stuff. And nothing being done. It's like you need to be protected. Like you have rights to be protected.
Yeah, the cops are supposed to stop these things, not come after me saying I'm crazy. And they know I'm not crazy. So I'm just gonna say it directly. You are stating I am not a crazy man, violent, paranoid schizo who thinks he's a government operative like John Nash, who's flipped out and something in my mind cracked and I'm hallucinating government agents and.
No, you're definitely not. You're not paranoid schizo government agent.
Okay, thank you.
Violent. Sorry, I need to add that.
Violent. Thank you. Violent.
Paranoid schizo who thinks that he's a government agent or anything of this sort.
Okay, so do you have any
insight?
Opinions as to why the police and government, my friends and family would say this?
That's why I want to talk to them because it makes no sense, and that's what I've been asking you. Like, what you know?
Do you have any theories?
Control.
Okay, that's good. Control, everyone. Control, but it's not really about control. Because when people keep attacking you all day and night,
Yeah.
they want you dead and gone, and that goes past control. But control is the illusion, and it's also a tactic to get me spouting, oh, I live in the movie 1984, right? So there's no such thing as people following around for control people. There's just people stalking you to commit crimes.
They have to be in control. It's like what
Yeah.
it seems like. And
Yeah, they have to be in control, so they're making up the lies, correct?
right.
And the more I find out, the more they say I'm crazy, right?
Right. And so that's what doesn't make sense, you know?
Yeah.
That's
Well, it
where-
does make sense because
I mean, like, why this all started.
because the crime itself is so big. Does that make sense?
Well, in their hands, not like, oh, you mean what has happened?
The crimes
because
against
of-
me
Oh, yeah, yeah.
are so huge
I thought you meant what you did.
across
Like,
47 years
right.
or 42
That they
years.
can't stop now, or what?
They don't want the truth would devastate everyone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that. It's,
Example.
like, too big now.
Mr. Quigley in 11th or 10th grade in English class was told to tell me to punch Paul Schaefer,
Right.
and he failed. And now, what if it comes out that Mr. Quigley
Told
listened to
students
some
punch another student.
piece of shit in the government or my family aiding and abetting a crime? What kind of person is Mr. Quigley?
Right.
Now, this applies to everyone I've ever had contact with, right?
The ramifications would be.
Yeah, think of the ramifications. But what about my life? What about the importance of my life?
Exactly.
Why don't I have constitutional rights, constitutional protections?
I just want people to help you because you deserve to be helped too. Like if crimes are being committed, then they need to be like you need to be protected. It needs to be handled. Like
Yeah. Okay, so what's the solution?
what do you
What would solve the problem?
if they would say, all right, you're right, this is what's going on.
Correct.
And we'll do whatever we can to make it right.
And is it fair? And that's normally what happens with other people, right?
Right.
Right? The police, Rodney King, the police fucked up, they're sued. It's out in the opening. It's out in the open. The truth's out. Okay, so
You need to be treated fairly, like everyone else would be treated in these things.
yeah,
You know.
yeah,
Like the consequences need to need to happen.
yeah,
Whoever's doing this, you know.
yeah,
And if you come on now, if you're like assaulted and bleeding, like the dog thing, and somebody's trying to say like, oh, he's delusional or whatever it was on that paperwork, it's like he's actually bleeding.
yeah.
And there's a
Detective
dog.
Shapiro had the video of me being attacked with a dog and said it didn't happen and I'm delusional.
And it's like, okay, that's like complete.
And Seymour lied and said I tried to force a card on him. That still wouldn't justify it. Even though it's not true, it still wouldn't justify it.
You hand your card, you don't force it on anybody, they don't have to take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Seymour watches a video that makes up a lie with them. Okay, think about that.
Yeah, you're honestly, I've never seen you do anything of that violent, like forceful.
My only crime is turning 29, finding out, and then saying what's going on, and then going deeper and deeper, and then me getting smarter, and going, just look at what's going on. I'm proving it. Someone help me. That's my only crime.
Trying to get help.
Yeah. And going to the police, going to private investigators,
That's what you're
going to
supposed to
psychiatrists,
do.
psychologists.
You're doing everything you're supposed to
Yeah.
be doing.
They just want me dead and gone for what I know. So, and I guess we'll just,
Pick up there.
well, I mean, unless you want to talk more, but I think you got to go, right?
Yeah, I do have to go.
Okay, so Brittany's got to go. It's about an hour and a half, and I hope this kind of gives you insight. If they get what they want, because they're threatening at this point to throw me in jail for 3 to 7 years, or walk up to the judge before and tell him I want to be put in a mental institution for 6 months, and this mental institution is like something out of a dream, right? It's like this dream house. Why do you think they really want it? To get paperwork stating Kevin's a crazy man and we had to put him in a mental institution.
Because he's a danger to himself or others
Yeah,
or whatever. When
to
you
solidify their lies.
Right. You would not harm, like, no. You would not
Yeah.
hurt somebody. You're not trying to hurt yourself.
Yeah. And remember in that what you heard, they told me to go up before the probation hearing you requested.
Correct.
Before. So I'm supposed to walk up to a judge. Hey, we might have a probation hearing. Hey, judge, I want to be put in a mental institution. Does that look crazy?
I mean, that doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you want to see what is being said, like what they're saying?
Yeah, yeah, right.
And they're like not.
We don't even know if the police report even exists. It might not.
Right. So before any facts are presented or anything, they want you to like say, okay, this is what I want before we do any of this.
Yeah.
That doesn't like guilt and stuff. So it's not good legal advice. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Unless I'm missing something.
Once you step back from the insane amount of worldwide confusion, it's exactly, he found out, he can't talk, he's gone. But really, that was the original intention. It's just they wanted to do it in such a way that they could set me up, and they couldn't. And once I turned 29, and Mike Huntley going in an angry voice, "You're okay," and then I'm switching over, I've given you enough rope to hang yourself with, blah, 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 to cover it up, you can understand that, oh shit, he found out what we're doing, and what they're doing is sending women in my life trying to... They're sending women in my life trying to passive-aggressively provoke me and bait me now with worldwide support until I hit a woman or something like that.
Which will never happen.
And
Saying, that will never
it won't happen. And if they can't get the setup, they'll make up a lie, just like we've witnessed on Starbucks, claiming that I've now supposedly threatened to kill all Starbucks customers, and it's on video that I did, proving that Dinse is being paid off to hunt me down in government operations. Okay, so Brittany's gotta go. No, that's okay. Brittany's gotta go. And so we're gonna end this here, and thank you, Brittany. And till the next till Wednesday. Wednesday. And so I hope this gives you insight to the real story, what's really going on. And it's all about actions, not what people say. And that's pretty much it. Fact, logic, actions, proof, and whatever. And hearsay is just hearsay. And
show us who you are.
billion dollar funded hearsay worldwide is blatantly obvious. There's motive behind it. Okay.